Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to a not midnight edition of the Missing Lynx post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage, and we have Cassidy, the women's sports guru for the Star Tribune. How's it going?
Hello. It's good since, 30 minutes ago when I saw you last.
Yeah, this is the fun part about being on a beat that has like 6 people is that we hang out pretty much all the time now. Which you've joined the cool kids, bro. That's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see you guys more than a lot of the people I work with, like at my own work, especially in the nature of sports, right? Like we're all in our own sort of schedules and beats and everything. So, yes, now it'll be weird when the season's over. It'll be like, what?
Honestly, like it's so hard to explain because it's like the Wolves season just ended, right? Like I'm used to seeing, like I see John Krasinski like 5 times a week. I probably see him more than my own family some weeks. And then you just don't see them again for like 4 months. There's like, it's just done. Like, all right, see you in August, which it's weird. It's a weird business.
It's like the players, but instead of us all like jetting off to Miami or somewhere like fun, we're just like in our houses doing other work. So
yeah. No one really goes anywhere fun. It's just like the people with kids get to be a present parent now, which I guess that's fun for some people. But Abby says, "Hey Andrew," so that probably is our cue to get on with the show. Okay. Lynx win a blowout, 172 over the Tempo. I mean, I just kind of want to first talk about Ola Kosu doing one of the most insane things, short of Dijonay putting a contact that was on the floor back into her eye. She broke her nose, went to the bench bleeding, got her nose stuffed. They put a mask on her. Who knows whose mask it is? It could have been Dante's mask from earlier this season. And then they asked her if she wanted to play the last 6 minutes, and she just kind of like shrugged and went like, yeah, that's insane.
Especially in like a blowout win.
There was no need. It's insane. I mean, where's that rank in like the insane toughness things that you've seen?
I mean, even just in the couple of years that I've been here and sort of tangentially covering the Lynx, I feel like we've seen a lot of sort of tough, like gritty. I mean, you mentioned with Dijonay, Lands had a couple games where it was like, is she going back in? But yeah, in terms of like bleeding and as you mentioned here, and like just pulling the mask out of nowhere seemingly. I mean, I know they have all that medical stuff, like, with the team, the athletic trainers and everything. But yeah, that was it was impressive. That's for sure. That's one way to describe it, I guess.
Which Cheryl talked about it after the game, that Ola just came over to the sideline and was like, my nose, and pointed to her nose. And Cheryl was just like,
did a little gesture. Cheryl said, my nose, and like did that.
Cheryl's
and I was
like,
is Ola on the sidelines like trying to unfracture her nose?
I mean, the other thing is like anyone who's like broken a nose and had to play in one of those masks like talks about it profusely of like how uncomfortable it is. Like anytime you get hit in the cheek or anywhere that mask touches, it kind of like reverberates to your nose. And that's when you have one made like custom for your face. Yeah. Ola is just literally wearing someone else's mask. Like I refuse to believe they custom fit masks before the season for these
everybody.
people.
Well,
and then just goes out there and again plays like pretty well, scored another 2 points, finishes the night plus 16, which most of that was from her first half stint. But yeah, I mean, this was the first time we actually got to like see real Ola minutes. So I wanted to ask just kind of what were your thoughts on seeing Ola out there playing?
I mean, I think it's similar to like, what I think has been sort of the trend in like conversation here early in the season is that like they know offensively, like she's going to get to the basket. She's strong. She's, going to sort of play above her size. Like we were seeing Ola center, at the 5. Like, no, this is not, sort of the plan when I was saying she was going to have her play, the 4 most of the season, even like when she was playing the 3 last year a little bit. But, obviously with sort of the smaller Golden State, or not Golden State, oh my gosh, Toronto, I'm back in expansion mode. Toronto lineup, they're able to take advantage of that a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that just they've had so many close games. It's like you haven't really been able to let some of these players have that run. So it was good to see them, get that time to. It wasn't just like here's 2 minutes here and 3 minutes here, and kind of actually get that run. Yeah, I mean,
she also didn't foul. Only 1 foul in 14 minutes. Like, that was kind of the bugaboo with her so far this season. I mean, for me, it's just like going to so many practices last year and seeing her shoot so many shots with Sefu and like do drills after every shoot around, and like long after I'm done clipping videos and go home, like you still hear her out there like getting shots up, just to like see it kind of pay off where she gets 14 minutes. Again, broken nose, tough one. Like that sucks. Not gonna ignore that fact, but like you can kind of see the flashes of like there's something there. I don't know if it'll ever turn into like a well-rounded, really good like shooting player, but like defensively she can switch on to anyone. Had a couple of turnovers, I guess, is going to be the like kind of the issue I had with her game tonight. But like there's something there. Ben mentions in the chat Maya Caldwell looked really good tonight. And then Liatu King had herself at a heck of a Lynx debut. And this is kind of the story of the game is what the Lynx bench had 7 points the last game or whatever it was, causing K-Mac to play all but 4 seconds. And this game, the bench, it's just awesome.
They had 10 last game. I was doing the math during the game. They had 10 last game and 4 the previous game, which they won in Dallas. And Dallas, Maggie Seegers dropped like 17 on them in the first half. So and AZ was coming off the bench. So obviously the bench had been outscored there. But to then go and, be, to come out and have 37 points. They had 14 in the first half, and that was the amount that they had in the last 2 games combined. I mean, that felt like after last game that there wasn't, like Cheryl even said as much. It's like it's a 44 game season. It's hard to keep asking more and more of K-Mac and Court, score. Like I think it's like 4 games in a row with double figures now, or 5 for most of them, probably 5 for 5, double figures scoring. No one's, for the most part, shooting fairly well. And so, it's like they need to be able to get these minutes from these players, until Fee and Dorka are back, which we've said that phrase like a million times the past couple months, but like, that bench suddenly becomes really deep then, with a lot of experience. But, right now, like a player like Maya Caldwell has the most like WNBA experience out of that group. So yeah, it was really cool to see a big night for her.
It is crazy how much more this makes sense when they're healthy. Like, even though Emma's going to be missing the rest of the season, like you throw Fee in as the starting 4 at this point, I kind of feel like Natasha Howard has to be the starting center of this group. I mean, she's just been sensational this season. And then you have a bench of Ola, Tony, Maya, and Dorka, and you have a team that's 9 deep with like 9 competent WNBA players, with Ola and Tony probably being the 2 like question marks. But they just need to get healthy, which Abby brings up of speaking of gas. Kayla, I'm looking forward to Coffee getting slotted out of the starting lineup, which I tried to figure out what she's wearing on her shoulder, because like it doesn't look like rock tape, it doesn't look like a brace, it doesn't look like a pad. She might be held together with literal duct tape at this point, which I mean, if you want to just have a couple minutes talking about Nia, I mean, she's been awesome too. I mean, that's just such a prototypical Cheryl signing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I was typing up my game story, you're like saying, 4 of 5 starters in double figures back-to-back games, and that one is Nia, but that's not what they brought her here for, right? To drop 20. And I think she had a couple really good nights shooting well, to start the year, and tonight 4 for 4. But yeah, I mean, just steal. I know she didn't have a block tonight, but yeah, just that, like you said, that prototypical type of gonna go out, play, fit where she needs to fit, hustle. Yeah, I mean, she's been very impressive, man. What was kind of the phrase? We talked a little bit about her media availability this week with Cheryl, just sort of defining their toughness, I think was the phrase that she used. And that feels very apt. Taking that was Target Center got quiet when she fell against Chicago. That people held their breath. And so just for her to, jump back in, and, I don't know how, feeling after a fall like that, but yeah.
Domark, I'm going to say it's Domark, brings up Cheryl has a type, and Liatu King, also very Cheryl player. Yep. Yeah. Everything she does, just Cheryl talked about her after the game tonight of just vocal with the second unit. She didn't look afraid to shoot, which I'll be honest, there have been moments so far this season where the bench looks almost scared to shoot, which not ideal, but Liatu is one of those players that she's on a developmental contract, so she only gets 10 games, but
12, but yeah.
12. Could you she's a player though that you could Dumark is David from the Lynx Discord. Shout out Lynx Discord. If you know, you know. She could be a player that if Emma is hurt and out, Emma is hurt and is out for the season. Yeah. But when they get that contract slot to sign another player, I mean, I could honestly see Liatu just getting that spot with how she played tonight if this continues.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, you mentioned that, and that's something that I know has come up of sort of that, what does happen with the season-ending injury, and I think that not even having the full CBA, there's some
still haven't read it
there, but I think that sort of with how early it is in the season, it doesn't feel strange, the idea that maybe you would before you make any moves of pulling someone out off a development contract or waiving somebody to bring somebody else in, to kind of see where you're at, because they are 5 games in, so
well, and it's also the Lynx are in this weird spot where they have to roster 12 players, and currently, until they get Emma's contract suspended, they are technically rostering 12 players. So it kind of gives them this weird space to evaluate that deeper bench and then see what it looks like when Fee comes back, and then maybe you make a move at that point. I don't think it's necessarily they're going to just do something tomorrow, which that's kind of what you alluded to, is it makes sense to at least see it. But it also gives them the chance of people have brought up Hemzova, Liska. If somebody does try to steal King or Hamzova, they just have that spot to just upgrade them from the developmental spot, which Abby brings up hot take, warm, really. Not sold on Tony, especially with everyone off the bench other than Hamzova having some breakout moments. Ben mentioned that Hamzova, 6 rebounds in 5 minutes, not too shabby for the Czechian. I think that's what we've decided people from the Czech Republic are called. I'll be honest, I don't think Tony is ever gonna have a WNBA wow moment, because that's just not how she plays. Tony is I'm going to run all the way to the corner. I will shoot when I'm open. Tonight, though, objectively rough Tony game. Gets the reckless closeout on a 3, 2 defensive 3-second violations. just not a great Tony game. But at the same time, like, they don't have 3 seconds in EuroLeague. That's kind of a cop-out because they also don't have 3 seconds in college. So if that's an excuse, it should also be an excuse for every player coming in from college. But admittedly, like, yeah, she's probably never going to have that moment where you're just like, wow, that is awesome. But I also think she's probably going to continue to get 10 to 15 minutes all season. Cassidy, I'll throw it to you though. Kind of, what has your take been with kind of let's go with kind of the foreign born players that have been brought in with Aliska and Tony.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and something that, like, was one of the first things early this season when I was sort of game planning, like, here's a couple different stories like want to work on early in the season, like one of them kind of being like, how does this all come together, especially with how great of a start Emma had coming off the bench, and then obviously that that specific role that she was filling that changes, unfortunately, for the team. But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting, like, Kosu, obviously, Ola has been here, and so, like, even though she is coming over from Europe and playing in Europe, she is not part of that new group necessarily. But I don't know, I think it's interesting. I think talking with Cheryl before the season, the idea that, like, in this day and age, you need to fill rosters with inexpensive contracts, and you want players that have experience and aren't all just like fresh out of school. I mean, we saw in training camp, they brought in a lot of players that were 1 to 2 years out of school that hung around and got to play games, but obviously they see something in players like Tony, or even players like Emma, who were young but like had played pro for several seasons. That just, even if it's Europe and the game's slightly different, and even talking to Ola today at shoot around, her saying that, like, they have a lot more leniency with fouling, and there's just sort of those differences. I'll be curious to see, like, how steep their learning curve is, like, versus versus rookies or just other players in general. Obviously Tony is somebody that, like, has played at the international level and played at the Olympics, so it's like that's not necessarily the question, but I guess, like, the fit, and how well that kind of scales to this team into, like, WNBA. Sorry, sort of long-winded, but
no, I actually really liked the end of what you said and want to touch on that, but cliffhanger, getting better at it, ads first. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard, and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com.
I was looking over at my phone because the comment that popped up about Courtney court running point. That was something that, like,
you asked about it today. Yeah, shout out Cassidy.
Because it was like, I think that we saw some different iterations. I mean, preseason was preseason. There wasn't the full group, but like where Liv would come out and like Court would stay with, some of the starters, Nia and Tosh, and K-Mac and like that group, and bring some other people in and run point that. And like this felt very much like when most of the starters were on the floor with Liv, and then when that second group came in, Courtney stays there. And even at shoot around today, like Court was saying, like kind of it isn't easy to switch back and forth between, facilitator score. Even though she's been doing that like throughout her career, these past couple years, it like within a game like that is a big, kind of change. And so Cheryl even alluded to, like, she said, what was the question? I pulled it up. Why I said, like, why does she fit with that group, when she's on the floor? And she said, like, she could trade out. Like, she's confident that if Liv was in there too, she would be doing a good job. But it's important to get Courtney minutes, getting her minutes, getting Liv rest, Courtney coming in and not letting her forget that, like, she has those skills and that she is the backup point guard. And, just that she has that experience that group doesn't.
Also, Courtney going up against backups is like,
like
that is, I mean, Courtney has to be thrilled with that. Of like, she's still the starter. She's still going to close games. She's the 2 guard with the starting group. And then she's also has this overlap where she's off the court when, the opposing team's backup point guard is on the court, and Courtney's going to cook them. Like, she's going to just be able to get kind of points at will, which I really thought that was smart from Cheryl, especially like you look at like Courtney's confidence side of, let's just let her run the show for the 10 minutes that Liv isn't going to be out there.
Yeah.
The point I really like that you brought up just on like the Euro League side of it is just like Aliska, for example, is 21 years old, right? Like if she went to college, she wouldn't be drafted until she's 22, 23.
She's older. She's 24.
Aliska's 24? Yes. I thought they were both 21.
No, she's 24. And you know how I know this is because for several days, weeks when I was like ranked up, I thought she was 25 because on the EuroLeague website they switch month and day. Her birthday was January 10th and it's actually October 1st, which is, so now I know that.
So Aliska, let's cross her off on this point because Aliska, I think Dustin brought it up in the chat of just like, pretty uncomfortable with the speed. I'm going to be honest, the physicality of it also seemed to bother her. Like she was getting driven off her spots by Lexi Held like pretty easily in those kind of garbage time minutes. Anyways, but like you think about like Ola or Emma, who is coming in here younger than what you would draft a WNBA player. Like they've already been a pro for like 4 or 5 years. And then it's just trying to relearn like a rule book is probably the hardest thing of like spacing, positioning, what you can get away with. But like if you, with the new developmental spots, you can just kind of stick a couple of those foreign born players like on those spots and then just use 2 years to develop them on a cheap contract, which I wonder if that's going to be a play for teams moving forward, or if it's going to be more like the Lynx do, where it's just like, let's bring in Tony, let's bring in Aliska. They've had like pro quote unquote reps and are a little bit older and it makes sense. But I like that point because I think it's going to be a different way of building rosters versus, just always going through the draft. Right.
Yeah. I think that it'll be like, there'll be like hits and misses in the way that I guess there is similar to a draft as well. But it'll be interesting to see, if more teams kind of do that. I mean, I know there are teams, what was it when they played Phoenix? Cheryl was saying like, felt like everywhere they went, there was a Phoenix. scout or, one of their front office folks there. It's like, where are you guys going next? Oh, we're going there. So, obviously some teams, the Liberty, like everybody have really, the temp up a lot of players that were from overseas. But yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Ghost brings up, it's crazy how the floodgates are open for foreign players. Like, yeah, they can make money here now. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're like 27 years old with a family to go to the US to play for like $55,000 over 8 months. But now that you can make six figures pretty regularly, like I think a lot of Euro players, people that we've never heard of, are just going to start flooding over here because it makes sense. Abby brings up Liska is older or something. She's tired, but also we should start using the metric system. I'm a nurse. All I use is the metric system. So to me, imperial measuring doesn't even exist. It's been gone for a while. And at least in my life, it'll never come back. Dustin mentions that the tempo defense is terrible. Was not ideal. And then DeMarc brings up just Emma, if there's ever been a precedent of like someone undrafted rookie, 3 games, done for the year, and then a lock for the roster next year. I can't think of anyone, but I'm sure there has to be a precedent of like that type of player.
Well, I was trying to, I was remarking this to, someone that I work with there. I wish the NWS helped figure this out. Yeah. I was talking to someone I work with, and I was saying, like, 2 months ago, like, Emma was someone that, like, if you mentioned her name to, obviously there's people that like are very into scouting and know all these players and kind of who the, who it is that might be plucked, up from these leagues in Europe and brought over to the WNBA. But like, to most Lynx fans, if you had said, Emma Chikova, I'd be like, who, cool. And then,
Yep.
in a couple of games, it feels like, a big part of their season in depth, hinges on her health. And that, I mean, I think that's a testament to her talent and her upside. And yeah, I mean, just, I know that being somewhere like Mayo Clinic and will hopefully be helpful for her. But yeah, I mean, that's just, I know we've said it a couple of times, but like, man, I just couldn't imagine being 21 and coming overseas and having to deal with that. So
especially like coming overseas, you're going to play in the best, most competitive league at that age. And then this early into your season, you get like quite literally one of the worst sports related injuries you can get. It's just the human side of it is I can't imagine. Like the sport side of it, I'll be honest, like with medical, like how that stuff has progressed. Like an ACL isn't a career ender by any means, so I'm sure she'll be fine as long as she attacks rehab well. But like Brunson said in shoot around today, like she's so young, she's never really been hurt before. So yeah. Like you also have to learn how to be hurt, and like such a humbling thing to get that type of injury. Hard pivot. I do want to no Ghost, I cannot get you any pain meds, sorry. Hard pivot. I do want to just touch on 2 more things before we get out of here. Only 14 fouls by the Lynx, which as someone who really appreciates an under 2-hour basketball game, that was awesome. Like they played awesome defense and didn't foul. You asked Cheryl about it. Just like how impressive was that?
I had a couple friends that were going, and they were like, how long should we plan to be there? And I was like, depends. Last year I would have told you like 2 hours. This year I would maybe tell you 2.5 hours. But no, I was very impressed. I mean, it felt like they, especially the fact that so much of their foul trouble was coming from like in the post. It was Howard and Coffee that were, and that's a position group that's already pretty thin for them. They can't really afford that. Cheryl had alluded to it not being like, yes, of course, some of it's changed because of the officiating, but it's also them not necessarily positioning themselves correctly, outside, helping and coverage, and ending up where the post players are out of position and then having to run back in and make some play or close out that ends up in a foul. And so, yeah, I mean, I was just much more impressed with how they looked, just as a unit. And what was it? I'm sorry, I'm pulling up this to make sure I'm not like misquoting. Cheryl said considerably better, and it's the first time we've said that, which yeah. But we need to turn that page. A team that's been living on the foul line, talking about Toronto, they've had games shooting 40 free throws. Then she talked about trusting when they took 25 threes in the first half. That that's scary if someone gets hot and starts hitting them, which didn't happen. But or I guess
Kia Nurse ended up 6 of 11. Like,
yes,
it's hard to stick to a game plan when you're giving up open threes, which they were giving up.
Yeah.
Like Maybury finishes 0 for 8 from 3. Maybe like 4 of those were like good contests, but like the game plan was to in some extent, I'm sure, live with a semi-open 3, which that's just tough. That's tough to like stay disciplined mentally when you're worried that that's going in there. Dustin mentions not a good look from the officiating crew, having 3 calls overturned. Not ideal. The old man get off my lawn in me that hates replays. Having 2 replays in a fourth quarter when it's a 20-something point game is ludicrous to me. Like, abolish replays. Just get them out of there. Like, we'll live with it. It's fine. We had no replays for 70 years of basketball. We don't need them anymore.
Well, that's what made me laugh so much about Miles is like insistent, like it was like they were up by like 21 at that point, maybe, and it's like, I understand like every little play, and obviously, with how many fouls did she end up finishing with? Let's see.
Miles got credited for a block for that too. She got the block.
Nice, but so no fouls for her. So good for her.
That's who I wanted to finish on today, though, is Olivia Miles. I mean, another just team high plus 22, only 2 turnovers, no fouls, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 14 points. I mean, she's doing things that like I haven't seen a rookie do in any sports league. Like, the way she reads the court, the confidence to like throw no look drop passes. There's a play that I like pointed out to Terry where like she brought the ball up, called for a pick and roll from Howard, saw how the defense was covering it as she was like passing it to Coffee, and then like screamed to get the ball back, clapped like 37 times, got the ball back, called for the same pick and roll, and then just like passed it to K-Mac in the corner for an open 3. And it's like, that type of recognition on the fly is just, it doesn't happen, which is insane. Also, Ghosts, half of my tattoo sleeve is Lord of the Rings, so elite catapult reference. But I guess my question, or where I was going with that before I rudely got interrupted by my own mind, ADHD is a nightmare, is just like, what do you think, like, how far can she take this team this year? Like, if she's just like the 3rd best point guard in basketball as a rookie, like, what's that open up for this group?
Can I ask you first who 1 and 2 is, in your opinion?
I would go Sabrina and Paige still. Like, the Caitlin Clark stuff, and I know
I'm not
Indiana lurker fans in here. There are too many turnovers and just missed bad shot selection shots for me. I can't do it. Like, I just, when you're averaging 6 turnovers a game, I can't say you're one of the best 3-point guards in basketball, but I would feel pretty confident that like Sabrina and Paige are just better at doing point guard things than Chelsea would probably be 4, Abby, like Chelsea Gray. I think Sabrina's better than her. And honestly, I think Paige is maybe the upside and intrigue of Paige. Maybe let's go. I would live. No, now it's difficult because I did kind of think Chelsea Gray. I forgot she existed. So probably Sabrina, Chelsea, Paige are my top 3. So Liv would have to dethrone
one of them.
Paige.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot Chelsea Gray existed,
and so it made me think I wonder if you thought about it before, like of specific rankings.
Anyway. Most things that I bring up, it's never crossed my mind until it comes out of my mouth.
No, but like where can this team go? I mean, I think that something that was such a theme kind of within the first couple days after the draft. And Ben, I'm impressed by it. I need to go and look at Cheryl's just challenge record in general. I must be pretty good. But which like, not surprising, but but no, I mean, sorry, now I'm distracting myself.
Well, like I'll phrase it this way. Like if she's an all-star already, this is a team with 4 all-stars. Like K-Mac, Court, and Fee all made it last year. Like just putting it out there. Like it's a 4 all-star team. Like that's borderlining on the old super team stuff that Cheryl always kind of pokes fun at.
Yeah, I think that but anyway, sorry, now I'm bringing myself back. But the point that I was making was after the draft and when we got to first talk with Cheryl and talk with Liv when she came here, and just kind of everything that people were saying around the Lynx camp is like how important the point guard position is, and that they know she's going to have learning curves and she's going to have bumps, and that's just part of the natural progression. I mean, they've been pretty minimal so far. But now I'm distracted by all these comments you're putting up here.
No, it's just me getting through all of the roasting that I'm considering Sabrina a point guard and forgetting about Chelsea Gray, which, fair. If you consider,
now I'm bringing us back.
If you want to say Sabrina's a 2, then Chelsea Gray, Paige, and Liv can still be 3rd. So
yeah, but anyway, point being of just the how influential like that position is, how much better it makes the team when you can get 4 of your 5 starters, finishing in double figures, can find the ball. Just that consistency. I mean, even Cheryl had said like, after the game today of like how much she likes that chemistry of the starting group, how much variety they have in when and how they hit people. Like obviously not all of that is like, comes down to one person, but the fact, when you're the quarterback or steering the ship, or all these analogies that they've used to sort of underscore the importance of that position, it's like, I think that I don't think it's going to like solve all their problems, obviously. Like for instance, you put the point about Chicago. I mean, I think something that, Miles said during one of the practice availabilities this week was like not having played against someone as long as Cardoso before. And like, that's just a new challenge to having to adjust to. And like, there's only so, we watch her make all these plays and, that are impressive, but it's like, sometimes you go up against a 6'7" center, and you have to figure out ways to deal with that. So I think, I don't know, I'm not gonna be like, like I don't know where I feel yet on like the ceiling of this team. I mean, I think it's higher than people thought when they were,
Yeah.
this off season when people were leaving. It's like, oh my
Well,
gosh.
we talked about it like what, 5 or 6 times in the preseason and early season here of just like this team's gonna be better than people expect just because like the infrastructure and like Tasha Howard's a really good basketball player. Like
Yeah.
Kayla McBride, Courtney Williams still exist. They are both all-star caliber basketball players. I think for me, it's like if Miles is at that level, I do think it could be a championship caliber team again. Like if Miles is at that level, you're looking at a team that has 3 borderline all-stars and Fee, who is until proven otherwise the second best player in basketball.
Yeah.
And then you have Tosh Howard, who is putting together a ridiculous resume to start the season, and Coffee, who looks like one of the best glue players in the league. Like you only go 7 deep in the playoffs. If Liv is this good, I mean, this team could be knocking on the door again, which I do think there would be something poetic, or at least like something you could put another notch into Cheryl's resume of just like she lost 6 out of their top 9 and then just goes and does it again, which it's kind of wild.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think, I think that the team is like in a fortunate place where now they can start almost looking towards like, what does it look like when Fee comes back, and like how fast does she sort of reach the level that like they know she's capable of and she knows she's capable of. Does that, take a couple, when is Fee coming back? Fee's still like, the word from the team is still early June return to basketball activities. She's been out of the boot, at games and at practices. And so I think the next, couple weeks will probably be pretty illuminating. And as soon as she's a full participant in practice, like
Yeah.
we should be able to request to talk with her like officially, in a media availability setting, and can kind of get it like a sense more on like what she's
I
thinking.
would say if there's kind of 2 things. I did think it was really interesting. I can't remember if it was you or someone else who asked Cheryl about like Fees. Oh yeah, it was you because I followed up. We tag teamed the hammering Cheryl down on Fee. Cheryl or Carly, if you're listening. Sorry about that. But anyways, you asked her about like Fee's injury and like coming back from it and all that stuff. And she gave this interesting answer of like wanting to protect Fee from herself almost. Those weren't the exact words, but that was kind of the gist of her answer of just like, we want to be cautious with Fee because we want to protect her from herself. And that made me think like, okay, they're going to be more cautious with her this year. They're not going to like put her out there unnecessarily. But then you think like the target is June 1st for returning to basketball activities. And that usually means someone's a week away. And everything that I've been seeing, whether it's at practice or like just how Fee's moving around, I would kind of anticipate that she's like back maybe the second week of June. And I'd say Dorka seems like that's her timeline too, with the 2 to 3 week thing. Like they might both be back in another like 5-6 games.
Yeah. And the Dorka thing, I mean, so for context, the 2 to 3 weeks was like on the status report on the media game notes they give us. So this is, team issued information. Is that Fee is still listed as sidelined indefinitely, which is not, like, I think any cause for like question or whatever, considering they had that other statement. But then it says Dorka expected to be sidelined for 2 to 3 more weeks, which that's the most sort of concrete.
Yeah. We had gotten nothing.
Gotten
nothing.
Officially. And so that's interesting. And we'll have to follow up on that. as those 2 to 3 weeks happen, and pass along. And I'm sure again, like we'll see her. Like same thing, like get back to practice, be able to talk with her before, it pops up on the availability report.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that'll be where do we start with this? Sorry, I'm so tired.
We were talking ankles, being protected by herself, but I would
Oh,
assume
right.
it's still
Yes.
sooner rather than later into June. Like I get no. I mean, she's out there just wearing like low cut Jordans at practice now. Like you're not. I'm not too worried about it. Ghost mentioned, are we in the WNBA load management era? I don't think we are yet. I really worry that we're entering the WNBA flopping era, though, because if the whistles stay like this, unfortunately, players are going to start taking advantage of it. Like they are.
Can I give you another controversial question that you can get
Yes.
flack for? And I'm just going to ask so that I can't get flack because I don't like being controversial.
You're also like employed by a paper, whereas I'm like independent journalist that works for 11 different places. So
but anyway, so your opinion is like, would there ever be a level where it's like, and I'm not going to pretend to like have all the NBA discourse and be the end all be all thought on, what is and isn't ethical basketball as they call it, but like could you see there being like SGA level discourse of WNBA officiating?
Absolutely. Like without question. Like I have talked to Mike Conley about it so much over the last 2 years of just like over his career going from grit and grind Grizzlies where like players did not fake for fouls as much in the early 2000s, early 2010s. Like it just didn't happen as much. Like there's always been flopping in basketball. Like there's always, even in the WNBA through all this physicality stuff, like there's been players that are better at drawing fouls, but now it's an art form. Now it's something where like kids growing up in high school perfect like scooping under arms and then falling over, or like how to jump into a body and make it look like they initiated contact and then falling down. And like WNBA players are smart. Like they are just they're very smart at picking up on this stuff. And if this is just going to be the whistle, like people are going to start learning how to draw fouls that way, and they're going to start flopping, and it's going to be an issue. And I guarantee you, like if it doesn't improve, like a player like Caitlin Clark or a player like Asia Wilson or like those kind of star players that have name recognition are going to start figuring out how to take advantage of those rules. Like it's kind of like Rebecca Brunson said at practice today, like it's on the game to kind of learn and adjust with it. And if it's not going to change, they're going to take it into their own hands, which heck of a lot easier to get to the free throw line if they're calling whistles like this, which Abby, I will say, I am a doomer on this stance. They are changing the game I love. Gosh darn it. Abby also, I think it was Abby, wanted to know how to pronounce your last name. So
my last name?
Yes. Someone in the chat said, no, Ghost said it. A lot of vowels.
It's Hettesheimer, so you like separate it between the S and the H. I don't know if that's like the correct authentic German pronunciation, but that's how my family does it. So that's how I tell people. But I was like, anything but the sh. There's no sh in there. But yeah.
Hettesheimer, is that how people would say it if they're doing a sh?
Yeah.
Heimer, not Scheimer.
Yeah, Seimer, not Scheimer. But yeah, no, my mom taught at the school I went to growing up. So that was sort of helpful in making sure my, people weren't seeing my name for the first time and going, what the heck is that? She told them. So
what grade did your mom teach? You said like elementary school?
Kindergarten. So she honestly wasn't Hettesheimer a lot. She was Mrs. H, because you can't really get 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds to say that name, but sometimes they try. But yeah, so she's still doing that. They just finish up. I think tomorrow might be their last day.
Last day forever or last day of the year?
Last day of the year, not her last day.
Because I think Chris Hine, your colleague over at the Star Tribune, his dad just retired from teaching after like 113 years. Don't quote me on that.
Wow, his dad must have taught for a while. Because I mean, Chris, well, yeah, I don't know. My mom's a couple years away, but
couldn't do it. I teach people about diabetes. I couldn't teach people how to spell. It's just not in my nature. I'm far too sarcastic.
Teachers are
special breed.
Very special.
All right. Cassidy, anything you want to plug before you get out of here?
Not, I mean, I can do myself.
Yes, please.
Where you can find
plug
me.
Yourself.
Sorry, or like, should I plug something that's like cool and like
you have the platform. You can plug whatever you'd like.
I can't remember if it was this podcast where it was like someone asked me to plug something that was like meaningful, not just like me or like a project I was working on, but it was plug like, was it here? I think I was talking about like soccer,
that is way too much work for me to be like plug something meaningful. No, actually that was me, because for a little while we had like an arm occupation in the state and a couple people were plugging like blood drives and stuff. So that was actually me.
Okay, yeah. Well, so now I feel bad plugging myself. I will in the sense that like I will say that I am now like a month plugging the Star Tribune. Well, I was going to go with that of sort of like, you can find me at startribune.com/sports all the time, but then also like, working on getting my stuff into meeting people where they are on social media, where I'm at Cassidy H Sports on Instagram. But yeah, I've been in this new role at the Star Tribune for about a month and a half now. And, we're still like working on sort of figuring out what it'll look like, obviously Lynx, and, frost season kind of just wrapped up as I was starting, but I'm interested in lots of different sports and lots of different women's sports issues and topics and trends. And so, feel free to ping me on social media, drop me a note, let me know what you want to see. Cause I want to write stuff that interests people, and interests me. And yes, so that's my plug. That's my plug. Sorry, I'm so tired.
11:55 is just, man. Abby says if you want to plug her social medias, you can. But also Abby and David both said very nice things about you in the comments when you were ignoring the comments to focus on your plug. I'm Andrew Dukowitz. People know me. I'm not going to plug anything other than if you came into this late, it does get posted up on YouTube and X. As soon as I end stream here, it comes out as a podcast the next day. That would be Friday at 7 a.m. I'm trying to think if it comes out anywhere else. Nope, podcast, anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can find it. And we'll be back after the Chicago game. Terry Horseman, give him a follow, by the way. He's driving down there to cover that one. But Christian Broswell is going to be joining me after the Chicago game to talk some Chicago hoops. Former Storm beat writer and now covering the Sky. So that'll be fun. We will only bring up the Angel Reese trade every 4 minutes for the 40 minutes that we're doing this. I expect 10 or more mentions of that. But thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll catch you next time.